Hello and welcome to March's Spirit Messages. My name is Alexa, also known as the Garden Medium on social media, and today I'm going to be sharing spiritual inspiration that has come to me, and hopefully you can pick up some tidbits that are useful for you. That's pretty much my goal, is that we can all tap into the wisdom of spirit, but if you'd like, you can listen to these spirit messages. I hope to be doing them every month. And hopefully you'll take away some inspiration, a few little tidbits, and we really get down to just like the wisdom of living well, of caring for yourself. It's my hope that this is the first of many spirit messages that are going to be coming through. I'm going to be diving into more video content, more interesting ways that you can connect with me online. You can either listen to this as a podcast. I like to listen to podcasts whenever I'm in the shower or driving, or you can sit down and listen to the video format. I'm also going to try and upload it onto YouTube once I figure out how to do that, because I'm not really tech savvy. So it might take me a second to put it onto YouTube, but that's my hope, is that I'll continue to do these spirit messages in a way that is accessible to everybody and can be a good lesson and a good listen. So as a person who does mediumship for a living, it's very important to me to live a certain lifestyle in order for me to have the energetic and emotional boundaries that I need to be able to do my work. So a lot of people think, because it's portrayed on TV like that it's very easy to switch in and out of doing spirit work and being a channel for people's loved ones who have passed, and that's just not the truth. Any person who does this who is not on TV, or a medium who's going to be real with you, like I'm going to be real right now, it takes a lot of work. So part of my goals for this year is to be able to continue to cater to a lifestyle that is more congruent with how active and accurate I want to be in my readings, and that has to do a lot with like meditation, energetic boundaries, doing things that you love more. And a lot of this has to do with the spirit messages that are going to come up for this month. I've had a lot of information come to me by my own spirit team, and I'm going to share that directly with you, and hopefully you resonate with it. If you do resonate, put down in the comments what tidbit you liked the most. You can share this with other people on your page. You can tag people in the comments that you think might benefit from it. This is for everyone, and it's free to use. I look back on this winter, for me personally and energetically, it's just been, can I say, a clusterfuck energetically for everybody, because our society and the political climate right now is not ideal for abundance and thriving. Like, it's just not. There are many days where I watch the news, even as a Canadian, and I want to crawl into a hole. And it's very easy to get down on the dumps. But a lot of the messages this month actually have to do with almost emerging from a slumber, or getting back to being reinvigorated and excited about your hobbies and your inspirations. Even though we have taken the time during the winter to naturally retreat, it's darker, it's colder. Don't ask me to come out after 6 p.m. The answer is no, because it's almost my bedtime in the winter time. But really the inspiration that comes through spiritually, at least for me and maybe for you, is that you kind of start to feel like you're waking up a little bit more in March when the sun comes back out. You almost feel like you're emerging out of sometimes maybe a sad time, sometimes even a seasonal depression time. That all is normal. You're not the only person, if you do get seasonal depression, that affects, because it definitely affects me too. And it affects people in my life each differently, but we all feel kind of shit in the winter, let's just be honest. The message I would like to start with for this month's March Spirit Messages is really to remember how far you have come and the work that you've done to get back to yourself and get back to your own authenticity. I think that a lot of times we are almost like programmed to just like push through hard stuff in our life and not really are educated in how to look back and reflect and think, wow, I've actually come really far. And maybe the way I would have reacted to situations in the past is completely different to how I react to them now, and that's growth. One of my mentors, her name is Danielle Sarank, and she is also known as the Squamish Medium online. I've been taking courses with her, and she always says that spiritual inspiration is for everybody. Everyone has access to this. What you can do to tap more into it is actually just spend more time getting to know yourself energetically and just spending more time allowing joy into our lives. Again, I do feel like this winter has been particularly heavy, especially with the political climate that we now see ourselves in. But the message here is to try and distance yourself from all of that noise, and I'm guilty of it too. There are some days I wake up and I'm scrolling on my phone, and that's not really helpful for my anxiety. It's not really helpful for my anxiety to scroll on my phone. It's not really helpful for me to not feed my body right. It's not really helpful for me to not be social with friends. So it's really just the encouragement from Spirit to actually start to get out there more and put yourself out there more in a way that just feels good, and just invite more joy back into your life. Especially, I feel also that a lot of people that I've come in contact with, whether they be clients or whoever, are just super closed off. And that might be because they've gone through a rough time, or they feel stuck, they don't feel inspired, they don't feel like themselves, so they don't express themselves authentically. I think there's really something to be said about a crisis that's happening with people questioning their own identity and their own individuality, and not having the bravado or the bravery to just like live how they want to live and live authentically and live bold lives and take up space and feel safe to smile and feel safe to be happy and feel safe in their relationships and in their friendships. And this is really just an encouragement that now is your time to step out and do all these things. You've waited long enough. You've waited more than long enough to take time to heal. You've waited more than long enough to hide under a rock. You've waited more than long enough in your anxiety spiral and your depression spiral. And you've waited long enough allowing yourself to feel empty. You've sat with this emptiness for way too long. I know it for myself is true, and I know for some of you that's true too. I know that there are people out there who are going to resonate with what I'm saying, and it's going to ring true to you. And I just want you to know that if you are not feeling like yourself, if you maybe haven't felt like yourself in a long time, same. I think for me, I haven't really felt like myself since the pandemic, if I'm being real, because that was, for me, so traumatic to go through when we weren't allowed to leave our house and our connections were cut off, and it was very scary. And, you know, we all go through life differently and we all cope differently. But I think one of the most popular ways is that we just emotionally shut down. We don't feel safe. We stop leaving the house as much. We stop texting people as much. Maybe we turn on the TV and rewatch our favorite comfort shows. For me right now, that's Gossip Girl that I've watched like probably for the 8th time now. And that helps us cope with feeling anxious and feeling that depression. And it helps us remind ourselves, oh, I used to really like watching this show. Watching it again makes me feel all these positive emotions. It's making me laugh. It's making me cry in great ways. I love these characters. I feel safe watching this show. But now it's time to feel safe outside of these comfort items. And this is true for me too. And again, if this is resonating with you, please let me know in the comments or send me a message. But overall, this winter, and especially the past couple of months, and for some of you, you haven't felt like yourself in years. And that's difficult to deal with, and that's a heavy burden to go through. And I commend you, because the road is long, the nights are dark and cold, and it can be very lonely. But you're not alone. You're never alone in your experience. Maybe we all go through different experiences at different times, but ultimately we all have heartache in our life. We all have anxiety. We all feel loneliness. Maybe we feel excluded sometimes. Maybe we have lost our joy in our hobbies. Maybe we don't recognize ourselves in the mirror anymore or in photographs. But it's really time to dig deep. And the message here is to just start getting back to your genuine self. Pick up hobbies that you used to love. Encourage yourself and challenge yourself to actually leave the house and go to events you used to do. Travel. The sun is coming back. We are being reborn, okay? The months of the winter and of not feeling yourself are coming to an end. And I just want you to really soak it in that everything that you've been through might have been shit or might have felt like shit in different times. And like I said, for different people, that will resonate differently. But at the end of the day, we're all struggling with something. There's that saying that's like, be nice to people because you never know what they're going through. And it's true. Every client that comes to me, when we pop on screen, it's hi, how are you? High energy, nice niceties. And then we like get into like the real work that we're there to do. And every story is different. Every person is going through something differently. So if you've been feeling, how do I want to say, just like lost and confused in your own identity, and especially like, this is an example I'll use because it's prevalent in my life. Like if you have children, or if you're going through like a huge life transition of having children or moving or starting a career that's different, it takes a lot of emotional work to navigate those challenges and to hold space for yourself, let alone being able to hold space for other people. Sometimes if you're in survival mode and you feel like you're just trying to survive, that's okay. You're not the only person who is out here in the trenches. And I really want you to be nice to yourself when you realize that you are in the trenches. And that's fine. The message for March really is that the sun is returning, and it's time to tend to yourself. It's time to tend to the light that you know is inside of you, and you miss the light inside of you. It's time to tend to that. I would also say try not to compare yourself to other people and where they are in their own individual journey. We are all going through things differently. We all need different motivations and supports for us to get ourselves over the line. But ultimately, it's up to you. If you want to move in a different direction, if you want to feel differently, it's ultimately up to you. And it is a hard process, but you can do it slowly and you can do it successfully. And it might take you weeks. It might take you months. This might be the start of a year or multi-year journey for you. And it's okay if you don't know the destination. It's more important if you just put yourself out there and try not to think about it too much, because you're going to think yourself out of it. Put yourself out there in ways that challenge you, because I promise, and from personal experience, the rewards and the benefit that come out of that are things that you may have not even considered. There are people out there who have the same story as you that also want just as deep of a connection that you want with other people, that you want for yourself. So I say it lovingly. If you're going through a rough time, I see you. Same. And we're going to be fine, and we're just going to figure it out. And I feel so supported all the time, especially when I'm having a really bad mental health day. I sit in my office here that I'm recording in now, and I sit on the floor and I open up my shades and I literally just look at the sky and I just almost zone out into the way I contact spirit in readings. I open myself up that way and I just let the information come to me. And actually the other day we were driving home from an event, and the drive was several hours long, and it had just snowed and the road was clear and the sun was shining and it was so nice out. Such a long drive, but the weather, when it's good, it's a great time to have long travels. So the weather was great. I was looking out the window and I was opening myself up energetically because I just needed emotional support, and I just needed to feel like spirit had my back because I was going through a rough time. My anxiety was really high and I just couldn't cope. And I opened myself up energetically and I just was like surrendered to feeling like shit and just said, I really feel like shit right now. I could really use some support. And just sat with that energy. I didn't go and seek. I didn't demand answers. I just sat open. And while we were driving the car, I could feel my grandmother. I have a grandmother who passed when I was in high school, and we have a lot of similarities. I have gotten closer to her after she's passed, and since she's passed, through my spirit connection with her. While she was alive, she had a very interesting personality and wasn't always the closest person to get to know, but I felt her in the vehicle. This was just 3 days ago now, the time we're recording this. So I felt her in the car, and like any person, I'm like, oh, you're making that up. And even as a medium, it's hard not to say, oh, you're just making it up. It's fine. But there are certain instances and information and things that happen that aren't coincidences that keep me coming back to how amazing it is to have a connection like outside of yourself. And it's not for everybody, but it's definitely for me. So I had felt her in the car and I just was saying, like I feel not great. And her energy was just so calming and reassuring and supportive that my anxiety for the rest of the day just kind of like peaked off. And if you have high anxiety, that's not always easy to do alone. Sometimes you need support to help you get you through really high anxiety. But just feeling her around me in the car and just knowing that like I was supported by things I cannot see, that I can only feel, is super comforting to have happen to you. And I guarantee you that you also have these instances and these connections happen to you too. You just may not notice them. And through these messages and through more content I'll be releasing, it's my hope that you get curious about your own connection and start to build that with yourself and build that spiritual self-esteem. And you don't need to be super spiritual or super religious. I'm not religious really at all. I'm more in line with just feeling supported by life and the energies that be and the universe, and understanding that we really don't know much about what happens after, but the connection and the things that we feel and the information that comes through with our loved ones is so crystal clear, at least to me, that I'm having a hard time not trusting it anymore, which is fantastic. So if you've made it this far, thank you so much. And I hope you took something out of this. Please share with people who you think would benefit from this little chat, from these little March messages. You can share them, you can comment, you can even share the video through messages or through an email or anything. What I would love to know is if this has resonated with you, and if it has, I'll continue to do more of them, and I'll continue to pop online and make myself known, as my challenge to myself this year is just to do more publicly. That's really all I want to do. So thank you so much for listening to my March Spirit messages. And remember that this month, just carry yourself with more ease. Be easier on yourself. Go to that event you want to go to. Treat yourself a little bit more, and just get back to the joy that you used to feel and the joy that you long to have again. It's time for you to get back to that, and you're going to be fine and you're going to be safe. And just remember that there are energies and there are people who have passed before you that support you, and you may not have known them. There are many people who don't know relatives who have passed, but they show up for you in your life, and you're never alone, even though it feels like it on a human level. Whenever you feel those moments, go for a walk in nature, sit in the quiet, read a book. I find going outside the quickest way for me to just like release some control a little bit and get back to feeling more like myself. So thank you again for listening. And if you've made it this far, thank you so much for giving me your time and your trust and your interest. And I hope to see you all again very, very soon. Have a great March. I actually have a group mediumship reading that's online on March 21st this month. I'm hosting it with a dear friend of mine. Her name is Michelle. She's a medium out in Ontario, so the reading's online. You can head to my website for more information. It's just thegardenmedium.com, or you can find it all on my social media. You can book a reading with me. I do psychic readings, mediumship readings, and I also do card readings if you feel so called. But have a great day, and I love you all very much. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to me, and I wish you best.